The 130 Storey Treehouse, Laser Eyes and Annoying Flies. Chapter 5. Ibalia. We must have all blacked out for a while because the next thing we knew we were all lying on the ground beside a tree. We got up and looked around. That's when we realized we were being watched by millions of eyeballs. I don't know if you've ever been stared at by millions of eyeballs, but if you have, I think you'd agree that it's a pretty creepy feeling. Why are they staring at us? Said Terry. I don't know, I said. It's not just us they're staring at, called Jill, who had climbed to the observation deck at the top of the tree. Come up here and see. We climbed up. There were domes all around us, each one containing a different species of alien and surrounded by crowds of staring eyeballs. Oh no, I said. This is terrible. We are exhibits in an intergalactic zoo. I hate zoos, said Terry. Some intergalactic space adventure this is turning out to be. I know it's not great, said Jill, but it could be worse. At least we're not contestants in one of those intergalactic death battles. What intergalactic death battles? I said. You know, said Jill, those ones where some sort of evil aliens collect specimens from other planets and then make them fight each other to the death. I thought that just happened in comic books, said Terry. No, I'm pretty sure it's a real thing, said Jill. Well, let's hope it's not, I said, because some of those aliens look really mean. I think that one over there is a razor-toothed, blood-sucking, venison-warm man. I won't even want to be in a dance contest with him, let alone a battle to the death. Above, an artist's impression of Andy and a razor-toothed, blood-sucking, venison-warm man having a dance contest. Attention all specimens, said the giant eyeball. Wow, said Terry, a talking eyeball. Cool. Congratulations, the eyeball continued. You have been chosen to represent your planet in Ibalia's intergalactic death battle. The winner will receive an attractive trophy, and every participant will receive a commemorative participation medal. The battle will begin in 5 minutes. Good luck, and may the best species win. Chapter 6. Intergalactic Death Battle. Did you hear that? Said Terry. Yes, I said. We're all going to die in an intergalactic death battle. No, said Terry. Not that bit. The bit about how we could win a trophy or a medal. Unless we lose, that is, I said. No, Andy, said Terry. You don't understand. Even if we lose, we still get a medal that says, we had fun, you won. No, I said, you don't understand. A death battle is a battle to the death. Only the winner survives. The losers, which is everybody else, will all die. Then we'd better make sure we win, said Terry. But that would mean we have to kill all the other contestants, said Jill. That's awful. It's less awful than being killed, said Terry. It's not like we have a choice. But how could we win even if we wanted to, said Jill. The other aliens look much more dangerous than us. We don't stand a chance. You're forgetting one very important thing, said Terry. Well, too, actually. I've laser eyes. But you can't even kill a fly with your laser eyes, I said. How do you expect them to help us win an intergalactic death battle? As we were speaking, thousands of flying eyeballs were filling the air around us. "Attention all aliens!" boomed the giant flying eyeball. "In a moment your enclosures will be removed and the battle will begin. It will continue until only one species remains. Are there any questions?" "Yes," said a little green blob. "Please may I be excused from the battle? I need to go home." "No," said the eyeball. "All contestants must fight. It's the rules." Then, without warning, the eyeball let out a loud, high-pitched noise, and their enclosures shattered. In fact, all enclosures did. We got such a fright we fell out of the tree onto the soft, spongy surface of Ibalia with all the other aliens. It was terrifying being so close to so many dangerous aliens, but there was hardly any time to feel scared, because then the eyeball said, "Let the intergalactic death battle begin." We all jumped up. "Oh no," said Jill. "What are we going to do?" "Fight?" said Terry. "No," I said. "Let's hide, quick, behind the door." "The door of doom?" said Terry. "Are you crazy?" "No," I said. "The front door." We all rushed inside, and not a moment too soon, because then the battle began. "I don't think I like intergalactic death battles very much," I said, as the battle raged around a tree. "Me neither," said Jill. "They're quite violent." "And they're too loud," said Terry. "I wish we could go home." "Unfortunately, that's not an option," I said. "But let's look on the bright side. Perhaps with a bit of luck, they'll all destroy each other without us having to do anything or hurt anyone, and then we can collect the trophy and get out of here." "Not much hope of that," said Jill, pointing at a hideous bull-like alien that was charging towards the tree. "I think that one's realized we're in here." "This would be a perfect time to use your laser eyes, Terry," I yelled. "Blast it!" "I can't," he said. "I'm too scared. My eyes aren't even open." At that moment, Mary Lowell Poppins pushed past us, her hands full of enormous lollipops. "Never fear," she cried. "Lollipoppins is here." The alien roared at Mary, but she just laughed and said, "My, what a big gob you have, Grandma. Just the right size for these super sticky, super giant, all-day gobstoppers, and as quick as a lollipop shop robot." She shoved all 4 lollipops into the alien's open mouth. It was too surprised to continue its attack, and too busy sucking on the gobstoppers to do us any harm at all. "Good work, Mary," shouted Jill. "But watch out behind you." A razor-toothed, blood-sucking venison worm man was standing right behind Mary, about to bite her head off, when a scoop of hot ice cream smashed into its face. "Never fear, Scooperhands is also here," yelled Edward Scooperhands from above as he launched scoopful after scoopful of sizzling hot ice cream at the worm man. The razor-toothed, blood-sucking venison worm reared back and howled in pain. Or was it pleasure? It was hard to tell. It could have been either or both. Hot ice cream is hot, sure, but it's also delicious. So delicious, in fact, that all the other aliens stopped fighting the death battle and started having a hot ice cream party instead. Chapter 7. Intergalactic Hot Ice Cream Party. The aliens weren't the only ones enjoying the hot ice cream party. Jill and Terry joined in as well. They're jumping around trying to catch fresh scoops of hot ice cream in their hands and mouths just as fast as Edward could throw them. "Attention all aliens," announced the giant eyeball. "May I remind you, this is an intergalactic death battle, not an intergalactic hot ice cream party. Resume fighting immediately." But the aliens took absolutely no notice, except for one, which looked up at the eyeball and spat hot ice cream right at it. It was a direct hit. The hot ice cream hit the eyeball right in the eyeball. It went all bloodshot and watery and was obviously in a lot of pain. That's when I had an idea. It was possibly one of the greatest ideas I've ever had. Possibly one of the greatest ideas anybody has ever had in the history of people having great ideas. I rode the elevator to the soap bubble blaster level and ran to the control panel. I selected an extra big, extra soapy, extra bubbly soap bubble blizzard. The machine rumbled and grumbled, shuddered and shook, and blasted out a blinding blizzard of bubbles, thousands and millions and billions of bubbles. If you've ever had a bath, and I hope you have, then you'd know that soap bubbles and eyeballs are natural enemies. So now a new battle started, an intergalactic giant flying eyeballs versus soap bubbles battle. Yow! And it was a battle the soap bubbles were clearly winning. The eyeballs, blinded and driven mad by the stinging, were just flying around, crashing into each other and bursting like huge bags of watery jelly, which is not surprising really, because that's exactly what giant eyeballs are. Meanwhile, the aliens took advantage of the mayhem and made a run for it. "Hey, Andy," said Terry, "when I return to the battlefield, you'll never guess what happened." "Let me try," I said. "A soap bubble blizzard stung all the eyeballs, and the aliens made a run for it." "Yes," said Terry. "How did you know?" "Because while you and Jill were busy having a hot ice cream party, it was me who started the blizzard." "Great idea, Andy," said Jill. "I know," I said. "I've got a great idea too," said Terry. "Let's get out of here." "I'd like nothing better than to leave this eyeball-infested planet," I said. "But how? Our tree's an amazing tree, but it's not a rocket." "If only I had my yo-yo," said Terry. "What possible use would a yo-yo be to us now?" I said. "Well, it could help to pass the time for one thing," Terry said. "But more importantly, the yo-yo I ordered on YoBay last week came with 4 free rocket boosters. We could have attached them to the tree and blasted off. Yo-yo, amaze your friends with all the latest yo-yo tricks. Wow! Order now and get 4 free rocket boosters with every order delivered to your door. Beep, beep." "Hey," said Terry, "that sounds like Bill the postman's scooter horn." "It does," I said. "But what would Bill be doing out here on Ibalia?" "Delivering the mail, of course," called a voice that sounded just like Bill's. And there was a good reason for that, and that's because it was Bill's. "I have a parcel for Terry, which I tried to deliver, but just as I arrived, your tree took off, so I followed you." "You followed us into space and all the way to Ibalia?" said Jill. "Well, I had no choice," said Bill. "When I became a postman, I swore an oath to deliver the mail no matter where and no matter what." Bill put a hand on his heart and began reciting his oath. "My yo-yo, my rockets. No matter how near, no matter how far, whether the house next door or the farthest star, no matter how high, no matter how low, where the mail is addressed, that's where I go. Neither heat of day nor gloom of night, neither birds that swoop nor dogs that bite, neither cats that scratch nor scary ghosts shall ever prevent me from delivering the post, neither snow nor rain nor cannon blast, neither killer bees nor plaster cast, neither yetis nor dragons nor storm of hail shall ever prevent me from delivering the mail." Bill took his hand off his heart and wiped a tear from his eye. "As you can see," he said, "I take my job very seriously." He reached into his mail bag and pulled out a small parcel. "Here's the yo-yo you ordered, Terry. And here are your 3 bonus rocket boosters. There were 4, but I borrowed one to get here. I hope you don't mind." "I don't mind at all," said Terry. "Thank you, Bill. You're the greatest postman in the whole world." "You mean the whole universe," said Jill. "I don't know about that," chuckled Bill. "Just doing my job." It didn't take long to strap the rocket boosters to the trunk of the tree. We didn't have straps, so we used heavy-duty toilet paper instead. Don't worry, it was fireproof as well. "Prepare for liftoff," I said. There was a massive whoosh as we shot up through Ibalia's atmosphere and out into space. "Goodbye, Ibalia," I yelled above the roar of the rocket boosters. "And good riddance," yelled Jill. Chapter 8. Stowaway. "Wait," said Terry. "Turn the tree around. We have to go back." "Why?" I said. "We didn't get our participation medals." "Yes, we did," said Jill. "I grabbed them as we left. One for each of us, including Edward Scooperhands and Mary Lollypoppins." "Oh well," said Bill. "This has been quite an adventure, but I'd better be getting along. This mail won't deliver itself, you know." "Why don't you hitch a ride back to Earth with us?" I said. "It's very kind of you," said Bill, "but I've got a few letters addressed to Andromeda Galaxy that I need to deliver before I head home." "All right," I said, "but be careful out there and watch out for giant flying eyeballs." "I will," shouted Bill over the roar of his rocket-boosted scooter as he soared off into space. "Well, I'm glad that's over," said Terry. "I think I've had enough space adventure for one book." "Me too," I said. "In fact, I'd be happy if I never saw another alien for as long as I live." "Well, don't look under the table then," said Jill. "Why not?" I said. "Because there's a little green blob hiding under there." "Code green," I yelled. "Repeat, code green." "What's code green again?" said Terry. "Alien stowaway," I yelled as the blobs darted out from under the table. "Blast it, Terry! Give it both eyes." Terry focused, took aim, and fired 2 deadly laser beams at the blob. There's no way he could miss from this close, and he didn't. It was a direct hit. What we hadn't counted on, though, was that the blob had the ability to change shape, and it did. No sooner had Terry fired than the blob transformed itself into a mirror and bounced the lasers right back at us. We all ducked, and just in time too. The laser beams were so close you could feel the heat coming off them as they shot over us. Terry stood up and faced the blob. "So you want to fight, do you?" he said. "No," pleaded the blob, which had gone back to being a blob again. "I don't want to fight." "Well, you should have thought about that before you attacked us," said Terry. "I didn't attack you," said the blob. "You started it. I was just protecting myself." "It's a fair point," said Jill. "Maybe we should give the blob the benefit of the doubt. We can't be sure that it was trying to hurt us. And we can't be sure it wasn't," I said. "I say we catapult this slimy little shape shifter into space right now." "Not so fast, Andy," said Jill. She turned to the blob. "What are you doing here?" she said. "Why did you stow away on our tree?" "I had to," said the blob. "I have to get back home to Blobdramma. Everybody there is in terrible danger, and it's all my fault. I have to save them." "Why?" said Terry. "What's wrong?" "Well," said the little blob, "it's a long story." "Oh, good," said Terry. "I love long stories." We all sat down and the blob began. Once upon a time, on a small muddy planet called Blobdramma, there lived a bunch of mud-loving blobs that were as happy as a bunch of mud-loving blobs could be. All day long they swam in mud, wrestled in mud, sang songs about mud, mud, glorious mud, wet, oozy and slimy, bogs, quicksand and swamps. Oh, how we love to be grimy, and made the muddiest and most delicious mud pies you could ever imagine. There's only one thing the blobs had to worry about: the great mud-sucking bog toad. The great mud-sucking bog toad lived in a bog, and as you can guess from its name, it also loved mud. It would have sucked up all the mud that the blobs lived in if it weren't for the fact that the only thing it loved more than sucking up mud was eating freshly made mud pies, which is how an ancient tradition began. On the first mud moon of each mud month, the blobs would make an extra massive, extra muddy mud pie for the bog toad. In return for the pie, the bog toad did not suck up all their mud. On the night of the most recent mud moon, however, a terrible thing happened. All the blobs had left the pie out for the bog toad, as usual, and then went to sleep in the mud, except for one blob that remained on duty to guard the pie. It was the blob's first time on pie guarding duty, and as the hours dragged on, it became extra hungry. The extra massive, extra muddy mud pie looked so good shining in the moonlight that the blob couldn't resist eating just a tiny bit. The mud pie tasted every bit as good as it looked, crunchy on the outside, soft and gooey on the inside. In fact, it tasted so good the blob decided to have just a tiny bit more, and then another tiny bit more, and then another and another and a tiny bit more, and then another and another and another tiny bit more. until there's nothing left of the mud pie but a few muddy crumbs. The blob was ashamed of what it had done, but there's no time to confess and ask the rest of the blobs to help make another mud pie, because at that moment the great mud-sucking bog toad appeared. The bog toad looked around for the mud pie, but of course it couldn't see it because it was in the blob's stomach. The bog toad let out a loud and angry croak. It wanted mud pie, but there's no mud pie. In a fit of rage, the bog toad opened its great greedy mouth and began sucking up all the mud and all the blobs with it. Croak! The bog toad kept sucking until it had sucked up all the mud and all the blobs. All the blobs? Said Jill. Even the blobs that ate the pie? Well, no, said the blob. All the blobs except the blob that ate the pie. Wait a minute, said Terry. If there's only one blob left and you're telling the story, then does that mean you are the blob that ate the mud pie? Yes, said the blob. I'm sorry to say that I am. I knew it, said Terry. But how did you end up on Ibalia? I said. Well, said the blob, just after the bog toad had sucked up all the blobs, before I could do anything to save them, I was abducted by a giant flying eyeball and taken to Ibalia to fight in the intergalactic death battle. That's exactly like what happened to us, said Terry. Well, not the bit about the bog toad and the mud and the pie, but we were abducted by a giant flying eyeball too. Those eyeballs sure have a nerve, said Jill. How dare they fly around the universe abducting whoever they like for their horrible intergalactic death battles. I'm so glad we got away from them. Don't speak too soon, I said. Look, they're coming after us. Yoicks, said Terry. Can't this tree go any faster? I don't think the speed of the tree is the real problem here, said Jill, or the fact that we're being chased by a bunch of angry eyeballs. The real problem is that we are headed straight towards the sun. Oh no, said Terry. We're doomed. Maybe, I said, but then again, maybe not. How do you figure that? Said Jill. Well, I said, I've just done a few quick calculations, and it would appear that based on our current speed and trajectory, our tree is going to narrowly miss the sun, whereas the eyeballs are traveling much faster and will not be able to change course in time. They'll burn up as long before they're able to catch us. Are you sure about that? Said Jill. I am, I said. Look out there if you don't believe me. Just as I had predicted, the eyeballs began bursting into flames.